Hi everyone. In 2014, I noticed a friend of mine I hadn't talked to in several years, well, like maybe 14, was up for executive director of the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Joint Powers Authority. I reached out to that friend saying, hey, see that you're up for the job. Hope you get it. If I can be of any help, let me know. He actually called me and said, yeah, I would love your advice, what's your read on this? You've been around a long time. So I told him, and as much as I knew, then I started doing more research. And to make a long story short, blogged in favor of his being hired and even lobbied board members via personal phone calls. That person I'm talking about is the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Executive Director, Scott McKibben, or as he lists himself, P. Scott McKibben, who was on my Oakland-Alameda County Sports Commission / Super Bowl 39 bidding committee from 1999 to 2001. We came to within 8 NFL votes of bringing the 2005 Super Bowl to Oakland. We lost to Jacksonville. Scott was hired, and in doing so, really ushered in a move toward a more aligned and professional joint powers authority. What I mean by that is this. Prior to Scott's arrival, the JPA was this focal point for clashes between the City of Oakland and the County of Alameda on a range of sports-related issues, most notably the Oakland athletics and the lease. But when Scott was hired, because Scott is arguably the first true sports professional, sports business person that has ran the Coliseum, those skirmishes came to an end. I've had a number of elected officials tell me that Scott is everything from a breath of fresh air to something we've needed for a long time. I can go on and on and on. Scott set a new and much needed and much better tone for the future of the JPA, even with the flimsy nature of our retention of sports teams as I talk to you right now. But Scott has accepted a position in a similar role as executive director for the planned new stadium authority over Levi Stadium, where the San Francisco 49ers play. Scott's departure leaves a gigantic talent hole, but it doesn't have to be that way. The next executive director should have, and if I were the executive director, I would push for the installation of something the Coliseum JPA has never activated in its entire history since 1996, and something I pushed for in 1998 when I worked for Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris, and that's something called the Coliseum Advisory Board. The Coliseum Advisory Board is mentioned right in the enabling legislation, the resolution establishing the JPA. It is an advisory body of up to 20 members, half appointed by the city, half appointed by the County of Alameda, that is, again, advisory in nature. They are not supposed to be compensated. They serve for 2-year terms, and they can be reappointed. Now, that's not to be confused with the other part of the resolution, which allows the commissioners, which are right now 4 primary, 8 total. I say 4 primary because you have 2 council members representing the City of Oakland and 2 Alameda County supervisors representing, of course, Alameda County. But then you have 2 others representing the city and the county. 8. That's separate. In fact, that could be expanded to from 8 to as much as 10 people. This Coliseum Advisory Board is entirely different, and it has never been enabled. But if it were, it would allow us to bring in sports business professionals from around the Bay Area, most notably in Oakland. We have a number of people in Oakland that are would serve as fantastic candidates. And also, it would provide an extra set of brains, eyes, and ears for the executive director as he or she directs the Coliseum into the future. Not only that, it presents an awesome opportunity for fans to, well, yeah, have a stake in the operation of the Coliseum. The one aspect I believe should be changed of the resolution that enabled not just the JPA but the Coliseum Advisory Board is that part which calls for the advisory board members to be non-compensated. I believe they should receive something that covers transportation and food, a time cost representation, something like $50 per meeting. I think that's reasonable. And not only that, it allows us to broaden our net. We can get people who might be students, people who may be, low income for whatever reason, but nonetheless have very valuable knowledge, legends that may be wanting to participate, but really could use that extra something to make it worth their while. That's the idea. Have the Coliseum Advisory Board activated for the first time in the history of the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Authority.